There's nothing like pro wrestling. I mean, the exact
Nothing.
reason I have this podcast
It's
is because of the characters. It's amazing.
the characters in itself, like everything about pro wrestling is nothing. There's nothing touching it. There's no movies, there's no sports, there's no form of entertainment, television even that's to me touches how broad and vast pro wrestling is. And that's the cool thing to me is it's when it's when it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's still pretty good in all reality. Pro
Yeah.
wrestling, even when it's bad, is still pretty good.
Hey, I was a WWF fan in 1995 and 2004. I've been through the trenches, my friend, and it's just it's there, isn't it? There's always something.
94, man, that was my time. New generation. Like I got into it. I got into wrestling. Ultimate Warrior was my hero. He was my Superman.
Yes.
He was my guy. I talk about it all the time. He was my, people have sports heroes and that and people they look up to. Ultimate Warrior was mine. He was my Superman.
Mm.
Um, but so that was what got me into it. But man, I was like a fan in the New Generation era, like the known down era of wrestling, and I was like, man, this is the greatest time ever.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 Kid and Doink. I voted for them. I remember they did the fan voting in WWF magazine, and I voted for Doink and the 1, 2, 3 Kid as wrestler of the year in WWF magazine. Obviously, Brett won it, but I was like, man, I'm going for these two. These two need to win it.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. We caught up at WrestleCon, and I was just walking around that room, and you're at one table, on another table was Doink and Dink, on another was Nails, and another was Papa Shango. My head almost
Best, man.
exploded.
It's the best. When I get those randoms on signings with me, it's so fun. It's like Landon went to again. Landon went to Squared Circle Expo with me a few weeks ago. It's a huge signing, one of the biggest signings in the Midwest, in Indianapolis, and he was just like in awe of some. He goes, "Dad, if there's any way, I just want to meet Sting again because he met him a few years ago."
Mhm.
And he goes, Landon is the #1 Darby fan in the world. Like there's no one cooler to my son than Darby Allen, and Darby has been so awesome with Landon and like reaching out to him and all of this stuff. It's been really really cool. It's cool to see that
Mm.
that he has that like I did obviously as a someone to look up to.
He's your warrior,
Um,
or he's his
he's
warrior, I
yeah he's
guess.
my
Yeah,
warrior man.
yeah.
I didn't get to meet Warrior and have Warrior come up to me backstage more than my father. Like we're at AEW visiting, and I'm talking to Ethan Page. Landon and I are talking to Ethan Page, and Darby just comes up to Landon and just starts having a conversation with him. Doesn't say hello to me even yet. Like just starts talking to him. It's like, all right, this is the coolest thing ever as a dad, and like,
Yeah.
but it was a really cool thing. But so we are at Squared Circle Expo, and he goes, "Hey, I just want to meet Sting if that's okay. I want to meet him again because I don't know if I'll have this opportunity." And my #1 rule, all of the signings, even for me now to this day, take the picture. Take the picture, no matter what. I tell my students, my company has a huge show, Water City Wrestling Con in Oshkosh here in a couple of weeks, and we have guests coming in for it. And it's take the picture because if something happens, if they pass away, if you pass away, if they just stop doing appearances and you didn't get that picture, you're going to be really upset at yourself. And it's
Mm.
one of those things. It's a rule I live by for myself. So God dang it, me Hawkins, who is Landon's adopted stepfather at this point, and Landon got our picture with the Stinger, and it was like this is the coolest moment ever. Whether Sting knows who I am or not, I don't care. I got my picture with my son and his adopted stepfather with the Stinger.